Hey everybody, welcome to another Quick Talk Raw. This is Josh Latimer, and I have a special guest today on my Raw. Now, typically it's just me walking around in the woods saying weird thoughts that come into my brain, but I'm sitting in the back of a rental car with my new little microphone, which will drastically improve my audio quality on these shorter Quick Talks. And I'm sitting with my old business partner, Chris Phillips. He's actually my current business partner as well on Send Jim and some other things that we're doing. Chris, how the heck are you?
I'm doing wonderful here, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're not in the back here making out.
No, well, not yet. No, that would be too weird. Not that type of a partnership, just a business partnership. So I'm traveling. I'm in Michigan. I have my family. And so one of the cool parts about my job is that I can work from anywhere in the world as long as I have internet. But the bad part is I don't have a home set up, great office space to use while I'm traveling. So sometimes I'm at a Starbucks, sometimes I go to my parents' house. My kids are over there now, so sometimes I go to the Old Birds Beware office, which is where we are now. But in terms of recording audio, there's people coming in and out of there. It's just chaos. So I'm sitting in the back of this rental car recording this. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, at least we can pirate off their Wi-Fi. And do you remember when we first got this building, Josh? What a big step it was for us. Just Definitely. Amazing.
Yeah,
how time flies.
It's crazy. I mean, I started with a ladder on a Chevy Cavalier, right? You knew that. And then I met you maybe a year after I started, and you had a pressure cleaning thing going. And we started referring each other work, right? And then it kind of evolved. And then I think it was year 3 when we kind of teamed up and became, partners, right?
Well, this is your anniversary today, Josh, as in I remember going to your wedding. We got married a week apart, believe it or not.
Actually, tomorrow is. And yeah, I better add that to my calendar because I'll be in big trouble if I forget that. It's 14 years. 14 years. But
14 years.
It was when my wife was pregnant with her first son when I started Birds Beware. And the funny thing about our office is it's right next to the Chase Bank branch that I used to work at. In the beginning. But, if we go back in time and we had all these visions of grandeur, I mean, when you came into working with me, my company had only done, I think, $56,000 in revenue the previous year. And then when you came on board, we tripled that year. Yeah. Why do you think that happened? Why is our partnership working? What happened that year to make it triple?
Well, we really worked hard. We sacrificed. We decided that we wouldn't, maximize the profit and put it in our pockets. That we would reinvest, and we surrounded ourselves with good people. And I think that tends to be the hardest thing to do. At least it was for me, is just to be able to surround yourself with good people. I tend to be a hands-on type of guy. I enjoyed doing the work, and so it was hard for me to release that to an underling that I didn't think would do as good of a job for me. But it's so important, and that's one of the things that you taught me. I remember when we were talking about, that year where we were referring each other a bunch of business and we talked about merging, I remember it was the last time that God really spoke to me, and I had prayed about it, and he said, I will bless this, but you got to let Josh lead. And that was humbling for me because I'm a lot older than you. But I was able to at least let you lead, and in doing that, I was able to get off the ladder and start, and we built something very special, I believe.
Yeah, and I think it was a combination of focusing on systems, at least a basic level of systems. That was kind of the year for me where I had a light bulb go off. And like you said, having a team, and there is a temptation for small businesses to constantly do everything themselves, because when they hire someone and they don't do it perfect, you just get frustrated. When you hire a person and train them, it actually creates more work for yourself in the short term, right? And then, But if you can get them across the finish line and get them competent, then it creates a lot of space for you. But it is. I do surveys, Chris, with a lot of the listeners and people on my email list, and the number one pain point is employee issues for everybody. Every time I do a survey, it's always employee issues. I don't know if it's just a lack lack of leadership, or they're too short-sighted, or maybe they don't interview enough people. I was talking to Cuffy, the office manager of Birds Beware right now, and he came up to me yesterday when I was here, and he's like, Josh, a quick question for you. Is it normal for like 8 out of 10 people to not show up for their interview? And I'm like, yeah, seven out of, yeah, I mean, kind of is. So sometimes we do just enough to fail, I think.
Well, I when I'm talking to people with Send Jim, I'm and we've really focused on window cleaners, and we're moving into some different arenas now. But 9 out of 10 of the guys never answer their phone, and when I do finally get somebody on the phone, a lot of times they're just so doggone busy. They don't even want to, try to sit down and have a 10-minute conversation to see if this might be something to automate your business, to save you a little bit of time. So that's what I'm seeing out there is we go into business because it's going to be, we're going to be the captain of our own ship. We're going to be able to have that extra time for our family, and it ends up controlling us. And I really, would recommend that, the people out there would just take a step back, look at your business, decide the things that you can automate, and hand off to other competent people. And you got to let them fail. And that's how you build something that can run without you.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think busyness is like a phony, fraudulent badge of honor. Like we almost feel good about ourselves when we're really busy and we pass out at the end of the night. Like we pat ourselves on the back like, wow, you really were busy and you worked hard today. But busyness is not the same as being productive, right?
Right.
And being busy running around like a maniac and not even answering your phone. I mean, if you're neglecting the basics, how in the world are you going to build a real company? It's not going to happen. But the whole time you feel like you're doing it and you feel like a big boy running around, being stressed out all the time. But it just doesn't work that way. And let's talk quickly about, you said a minute ago that people, we sacrificed and we reinvested, which is true. We took really itty bitty salaries for a long time. Because we needed to scale our business, and it's expensive to buy trucks and equipment and hire people and uniforms and technology and computers and marketing. Have you talked, with your experience, you talked to hundreds and hundreds of people this year with our software thing. Are people scared to invest money, not in our software, but just in general? I mean, do you get that tone from people?
Well, there's two types of camps. There's the one guy that he's living check to check, but I don't even know if that's really the case. I don't think people are scared to spend the money, but it's the busyness. It gets back to that. It's just like they go in there, they look at the software, and it's another language I've got to learn, and it doesn't have to be that way, at least for what we do. But yeah,
well, they don't want one more thing. They're just trying to survive their day. I don't want one more thing when I'm surviving my day. So what's the answer? And how do people, because we're sitting outside of Birds Beware, there's trucks coming in and out of here the whole time we're here. There's trucks coming in and out. I think they got like 8 or 10 crews going right now. And there's people all over in the office, and it's successful. They're doing all this revenue. How did that happen?
Well, look, I mean, you go into business thinking that it's going to be more freedom for you, and it can be, but you've got to be passionate at the beginning, and you have to be able to hand things off, and you have to be able to take a little bit of a step back. And I know I'm being redundant here, and implement the systems that are going to make your life. You are the one that always says you got to start with your why. And my reason for going into business is I wanted to be the captain of my own ship. I wanted to be able to say, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go fishing today. Let me check with the boss, honey. And, or just spend more time with my kids. And what happens in the beginning, you're running around so much doing everything, you lose sight of that. But we go into business for our freedom. And that's the beautiful thing about it. I really recommend that people would just look at things that can help them have more time in their business. Of course, you have to sacrifice in the beginning, but be working towards systemizing your business.
Yep. Well, it's a process, and I always say progress, not perfection, because there's going to be bumps and all kinds of bad
We
things
had a
that
few.
happen along the way, for sure. Financially, emotionally, with your staff. Chris Lamborghini says that every human has 2 crises a week. And so as you build a company and you have 10 people working for you, those 2 crises now become your 2 crises. You know, their kid's sick and they have to pick them up from school, or they're in the drunk tank, which happened to us one time with one of our key guys. So we've definitely seen it all, but we don't have all the answers. But I think the thing that we did that made us successful was we invested in the people around us.
Yes.
We were very intentional about loving on them, caring about them.
Knowing who they are.
Knowing them, knowing their families. It's a really big deal. And that doesn't mean that we were, doormats for people that had bad attitudes, because that wasn't tolerated either. But you have to be able to put yourself out there, give people permission to fail, right? At first,
yes.
let them not be perfect and coach them through it. I mean, if you're a football coach and the running back during practice fumbles the ball, you don't run on the field and push him out of the way and become the running back yourself, right? But we do that with our businesses.
Right.
We do that with our businesses.
Talking to this guy, he has a successful pressure washing window cleaning business. Does about $750 a year. But we were talking, and this guy every morning has all the crews show up at 7:00. He cooks them breakfast. He cleans up for them, and then he sends them on his way. And that's how he launches those people. So he kind of earns the right to say, okay,
to be heard.
You're right. I'm going to work. I'll be here shoulder to shoulder with you. I'm going to get you a good start, but then you guys got to go out. And he lets them fail, and he mentors them that way. It's so important to know what your employee's wife or girlfriend's name, what they're going through, what their hobbies are. Give them a gift card, once in a while. Write them something, a letter or a note. One of the guys that are using Send Jim actually has a sequence for his employees, and it's an inspirational sequence. I think it's brilliant.
Wow!
Because he's showing his employees that he cares, and that he believes in their future as well, and that's really key.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. And there was a little bit of a Facebook debate going on, Chris. You're not much of a Facebooker, but I'm on there all the time, and we were arguing about who's more important, your employees or your customers. And so it's like a chicken and the egg thing. They're both important. So if you have customers but you don't have the right team in place, that's not good. But if you have a great team but you don't have customers, that's not good. But I think it's this weird oscillating balance between those two things. If you want to simplify your life, only focus on how to serve and provide more value to your customers and how to serve and provide more value to your staff. Most small businesses don't spend enough time on their staff. They don't have like a document that lays out, hey, here's how I'm going to intentionally invest in my people. And we're going to have this party in the summer. We're going to do this giveaway prize. We're going to do secret bonuses here and here and here. They just shoot from the hip. They don't worry about it, and they are very confused when people burn out and don't show up to work. And you know what? Even when you do that, they still sometimes don't show up to work, right?
Well, the best way to answer that question is to bring it back to when you were all by yourself. You had just started your business. It was the very first day. It was your first job. Who was more important that day, you or your customer? And I think it's probably a 50-50 thing there. So yeah, without you, it didn't work. And without that customer, it didn't work.
Right. Now, multiply that times 30 employees, and something changes because the staff becomes part of this bureaucracy, or they're disposable, or they're like paper towels. And it's like, so the level of service drops, and then the customers aren't served. There's more stress and frustration at work. Look, I mean, you're always going to have people that screw you, drop the ball, let you down. I've invested in people and given, and they still they stab you in the back. But that's what being a leader is, right? I mean, you got to take the shots. You got to go through the fire. But I wouldn't change anything in that regard. If I could go back in time, I would do more. I would have been better at it. Mm-hmm. That's what I would have done different. I think I could have done a lot better in a lot of those areas. And so I don't know. I just think it's interesting. We're sitting here. It's a beautiful day. Birds Beware is still here. We have a good relationship with the people that bought it, so I come up here and work sometimes. But I just want to encourage everybody listening to be intentional about those two things And I don't know any other golden wisdom
let's
nuggets?
put you on the spot right now.
Uh-oh.
What's the funniest story from all of our years of Birds Beware?
Ooh.
What was the weirdest thing that ever happened to us?
We have a lot. The two that are coming to mind is I was in Flint, right, with Travis, who's very shy and very keeps to himself, and he walks into this house with our window cleaning equipment. This is when it was just me and him. And he looks over, and I'm standing in the living room of this stranger's house giving her a hug because she insisted on giving me a hug. And she's like really hugging me, just she's an older lady, really nice lady, but over the top, friendly in a creepy, awkward way. And so I'm giving her a hug, just going with it. And I look over at Travis, and he has this look on his face like a ghost. His eyes get really big, and he's horrified because he knows that he's next, And so I'm like, Travis, come on over here. And he was so mad at me. The other one is when I got thrown out of a little old lady's house and because I couldn't get her screen out. And this was all within 7 minutes of being there. Her screen was stuck. I was trying not to break it. She was getting really mad, saying stuff under her breath. She's like, get out of the way. And then she punched her screen and it flew into her bush. She said, get out. And that was I didn't even have an employee, so I was pretty discouraged. Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to build a business with people like this? But I don't know. What about you?
Oh gosh, I just can remember. I don't even want to mention her name, but we had this particular customer that she was a beautiful looking woman, and she was so sweet when you first got there and you gave her the price and stuff. Oh, great. And I just remember, I did a really good job. She had all these, little trinkets and stuff that I'd pulled off to the side, washed her house, did the full dial in of her house. And then I went to get paid,
the
and
spawn of Satan emerged.
This broom came out of her, and little pointy shoes and a pointy hat, and she was like, "I don't know about this. I'm gonna have to think about this." I was like, "What did I think about? I did a really good job. Look how clean it is." It's like, I'm not feeling very comfortable about this. You need to leave. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. So we ended up getting paid. We had to go back, and we did her the next year, and the same thing happened. And then next year, and then I decided that we were going to fire this lady. Well, she moves. Josh is running some estimates, and he goes down and does an estimate for $1,000 for this lady. And I was like, no, we fired her. There's no way. We're not getting paid on this deal, dude. She's a nightmare.
And I was being short-sighted looking at the $1,000.
Just do it. It's $1,000, man. We need it. Just go get him, Chris. You can do it. So I sent Josh's brother-in-law in to do the inside windows, and about halfway through the job, I'm washing the house. I know it's going to go bad. He comes out. He's ghostly white. He's like, Chris, and this guy's the sweetest guy in the world. He was just he was seeing red. He was like, they're in there talking about how they're going to rip off the tile guy because he's 1/4 of an inch off on their bathroom. And I can't work here. I'll walk home, and we're 30 miles away from our house. And he was serious. And
with customers like that are crazy, you can kind of smell them. You develop a sense.
Oh,
You develop a sense.
Oh yeah,
And we for years just disregarded that.
That was the only job I ever walked off. And she was still complaining as I was packing up. I was like, what are you talking about? You got half this job done for free. Right. We're gone. It's a bad fit.
Yeah. What do you do now when you go to do a bid and you got that feeling, you just got that sixth sense, you just run, right? You just run. Or do you price it so high
you price it high and you just say,
down.
I don't even know if I can get you in, but that is our price.
And we will require 98% down. 2% after completed. Anyway, Chris,
it was a good ride.
I know you got to get going and doing some stuff. I appreciate you hanging out with me, man.
My pleasure.
And let's keep conquering our little tiny slice of the world.
Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.